Hi, I'm Jennifer Simmons with AIM, and this is our CEO, Matt Greller. And this is our weekly legislative update that we provide in conjunction with Legislative Summary, just to let you know a few things happening at the State House, things to look forward to in the coming week. Matt, it's the first week of the legislative session. There was a lot going on. Why don't you just talk about some of the leadership changes and what we're hearing is going to happen this session?
Yeah, so we're experiencing or witnessing, I think, a pretty dramatic change in leadership, not only the last couple of years, but this session in particular. The longtime Speaker of the House, Brian Bosma, has announced his retirement at the end of this session. The House Republicans have elected a Speaker-elect, which is the first time that's happened in my tenure, where Representative Todd Huston will spend the session shadowing Speaker Bosma, beginning to take control. So we'll have to understand his leadership style and what that means for cities and towns. I think I can tell you that it's been a very good working relationship with Representative Huston over the years. He's been a champion for a number of municipal issues, mostly through the House Ways and Means Committee. So we're very excited to be working with him in his new role going forward, and we'll miss Speaker Bosma. He's been a big-time supporter of local government, whether it's been TIF or annexation issues over the years. But changes are afoot, and I think we're well-positioned and well-prepared to deal with those.
One of the issues that we expected to come up is in fact coming up, and that is House Bill 1165. That's Representative Woody Burton's bill to make it, I would say, painfully clear that municipalities cannot hold landlords accountable for sewer utility bills that are racked up by their tenants. Why don't you talk a little bit about the history of that issue and where it is now?
So this has come up a multitude of times over the years. It hit a crescendo, I guess, last session where a bill passed and limited, without going into the exact specifics, limited the ability of cities and towns to collect back payments for sewer bills from landlords. I think Representative Burton feels like there's some gray area in the legislation that passed last year and wants to clean that up. In fact, just yesterday or this week, the Attorney General issued an opinion saying that we as cities and towns cannot collect past due or delinquent accounts from landlords. So if that does end up being the case and we are put in that position, I think it's going to fundamentally change the relationship that many cities and towns have with rental properties in their communities, making it much more difficult to get people service, making it much more difficult for people to continue service that may have hit a hardship. It'll just change things dramatically the way we provide that basic sewer and water service out to rental properties.
So each year AIM compiles a list. We work with our members and through our policy committee process, and we put together what I would say is a good government bill. We've also called it our government efficiency bill, and that bill's already moving. Do you want to talk a little bit about House Bill 1100?
Yeah, it's our good government bill, if you will. It's we call it our operational initiatives, things that make, as you mentioned, make life easier for municipal officials back home on an everyday basis. So it has a number of components in it this year. It looks like it's moving fairly well. We did hit just a little bit of a snag this week. It was recommitted because of some fiscal issues that were put into the bill, not at our request, but at another request. So we hope to address those in the House Ways and Means process and get that through. But we're excited about allowing, making it easier for cities and towns to communicate with counties about lit. Some of the overpayment issues, these minor overpayments, how we address those at the municipal level. Lots of other things that we'll talk about later during the session, but all signs are good for now. Looks like that bill's moving forward.
So in addition to those smaller good government, small bites at the apple things that make life easier or make operating government easier for cities and towns, we also take a long view on things. Our biggest initiative, I would say right now, is our investment hubs proposal. And I think last session we saw some really good progress there for a first session. And we're hoping for a little more this year. Do you want to give an update?
Yeah, so just to remind everybody, last year our Investment Hubs proposal passed the House. So Investment Hubs is the idea that regions can work together for transformational quality of life type projects. So it provides new revenue source. If X number of communities can come together, a certain amount of population can come together to really invest in these major capital intensive projects that will improve quality of life, brings new revenue options to those regions, allows cities and towns and counties to work across jurisdictional boundaries, and to have that concrete agreement in place to allow these kinds of things to happen. It's our key cornerstone issue. We've been, as Jennifer mentioned, we've been addressing it for the last year or so. We worked very hard in the off-session meeting on all corners of the state with stakeholders about how this can be implemented, how it can be utilized, building on some of the great work that people have done in Northeast Indiana, Southwest Indiana, and all corners of the state. So it's in the Senate this year. Senator Holdman is the author. Looking forward to it, moving along through the process. I do think it's important to remember that this is a very long-term conversation. There's been discussion about it being a pilot project for certain areas of the state. There's been discussion about different sorts of revenue sources being included. But I think the important thing to remember is that it's being discussed. All signs are that it will be addressed this session in some meaningful capacity. But likely we're looking at another couple of years before we can see this fully implemented, and that was the strategy all along. So we're optimistic and excited about where we're headed. It's just a long process. Things move slowly in Indiana, I think, as everybody knows.
All right, I think we'll wrap it up there for this week, but we'll be back next week with even more updates as the final bills hit the legislative docket. A few reminders for all of you. Our legislative reception this year will be on February 12th here in Indianapolis at the Westin, and registration information will be on aimindiana.org very soon. Also, we have boot camp for newly elected officials, January 21st to the 23rd here in Indianapolis, and you can still register online for that as well. If you're looking for a full tracking list, so all of the bills that the AIM legislative team is working this session, you can find that at the bottom of your legislative summary. And finally, don't forget to download AIM Indiana, our mobile app, AIM Indiana, on either Apple or Google Play. We'll see you next week.
Thanks.